Welcome to the Hunt360 podcast. I'm here with founder of Hunt360, Jeremy Williams, and our friend Jordan Christensen from The Draw. Jordan, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, E3.
Absolutely.
Well, Jordan, it's a pleasure to have you here at our at the Western Hunting Expo on our podcast, and excited to learn all about you and The Draw.
No, it's fun. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. It is my cross to bear. I can talk. I can go on a tangent for a long time, and rabbit holes are an immediate diversion. I got to go down every one of them.
Yeah, and it's awesome because it's so educational. Every time we're on the phone, even when E3's on the phone with us as well, it's always educational for both of us.
Well, so. It's fun. I am very grateful I get to do something, life has a funny way of diverting you left and right in different times and places, and I've done a lot of stuff in the industry and been around in places, and I truly feel like I found a home when I started consulting and particularly with the application side of things as well. Like I don't know why, but I love it. Like I can see why some wouldn't, maybe the tediousness of it, the constant change, but I absolutely cannot get enough of it. I find it so intriguing and interesting, and I love watching people win when they start using those applications.
Yeah, it is awesome to watch people win.
It's fun. It is. Yeah, I get to make some of the funnest phone calls of the year telling guys, like, you did it. It's your turn. Like, it's this time you get to go.
Yeah, and not mention your email open rate is like 100%.
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, and nobody misses an email for sure. That's right. The what if is so high always. Yeah. Maybe it's me.
So tell us a little bit about what got you in the hunting world as a kid. I mean, when you're growing up.
Sure. Yeah. I think it's a funny question, and I think as hunters nowadays, we're starting to you're seeing more of that question, right? We're trying to find, like, where did this all start? Like, what's the driving force, and where did the fire get lit? And for me, I've asked myself that even multiple times, and I think mine is a very common answer, right? I grew up in a family that hunted a lot. My dad was an amazing salesman. He was one of the top salesmen, or was the top salesman for Apple computers for a long time. Also World Book Encyclopedia, and he was like suit and tie Monday through Friday. And we didn't have a tent growing up. We had a teepee, and we didn't have camping trailers. We went in our teepee, and we had black powder, and we had possibles bags, and we just, like, it from a young age, the outdoors and being out there and experiencing that was just ever present. And so then as you grow up in my house, you got a BB gun. And I can remember watching my Red Ryder BB gun bounce BBs off of Starling's chest because it didn't have enough. It was like I'm one of three boys and the youngest, so there wasn't a whole lot of oomph in that BB gun when I started, and it would just bounce BBs off. And then I got a pellet gun, a nice Benjamin that I loved, and it just kind of, the snowball had started rolling, and it was just like say, I don't think my story is much different than maybe Lot's. It was the birds and the rabbits and the squirrels, and it was my dad coming home with a new tin of pellets every week because I'd burned them all up. And it could have been a pop can or a cereal box, or the birds, the squirrels, anything. Just needed to be out there doing it as much as I could. And then you start getting older, start working. I think like a real turning point for me was, I don't know particularly why, but I think it was really fortunate. My brothers, Scott and Cody, are 8 and 9 years older than me. And so my whole life I've always had a crystal ball. Yeah. I've always got to see what's coming because they're leading the way for me, and they're the trail makers. And I could see them in their mid-20s, and they were going to school, and they were getting jobs, and they were doing all these things. And I realized at about 14, if I was going to do something big, some big hunt, I better do it quick. I better do it before I graduated high school, because if I didn't, I was going to that would be life. I would be right into that same rat race. And I knew that there was going to be a large gap right then when something special would be really very difficult to accomplish. So when I was 14, I started working with the Sevier Valley Cattlemen's Association during the summers, and then I started pushing shopping carts at Kmart. and I started saving every penny that I ever had, and I was able to buy my oldest brother's truck from him that was like this little red Ford Ranger with 4-wheel drive, and it was primarily just get me back and forth to work and go on the mountain a little bit and whatnot. But so fast forward, and my first week of high school, my senior year, I went up to the Northwest Territories and went on a caribou hunt. And it was like this life-altering thing. I had already committed and had decided I was going to join the military. And so even more kind of a rush, like I want to do this before I go start that path of my life. And went up to the Northwest Territories, flew into Yellowknife, flew out on my first like single engine plane, saw some muskox while we were flying in. And truth be told, like it was actually quite a horrible hunt. Like, as you can imagine, an 18-year-old kid, like the research that was available for me at the time was minimal, right? Yeah. And so there was very few caribou at all. Like even the guys before us had only killed one or two. And the week wore on, and on the third day, I actually saw a bull, the only one of two bulls that I saw the whole week, and we were able to kill him. And they make very big caribou, and this is not one of them. But he's mine, and it was really an amazing thing. Like I'd never been around guides before, and I'd never been around like that. This is like people do this. This is a living. Yep. This is a culture. This is something bigger than just going in my backyard and my once a year spike elk hunt in Utah or my general deer tag. And again, like I said, I'd committed to the military. That was in the works already. And I came home from that, and I had my caribou, and I just knew right then, somehow, some way, I was going to do this. I was going to find my place and my niche in this whole game of things. And so I joined the military. I'm there 6 years. I travel all over the place. I end up doing a year overseas. I get home and felt very fortunate. Like I trained for about 5 years to do a job, and I got to go do a job, and it was some closure there. Like I felt like I could kind of end that chapter. And in the midst of all of that, I had taught myself how to do taxidermy, and well, that's not entirely true. I'd fiddled with taxidermy, and then I did an apprenticeship with a gentleman, and really got my feet wet with it, learned, and when I got back from overseas, started doing taxidermy work pretty quick. It took me a little bit of time, but even that is worth talking about real quick, like how I got started there. Like, so I didn't know anybody from Adam. I'm living in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I don't know anyone. And I meet this guy, and he's like, oh, you're a taxidermist. You should go to the oryx hunts and set up outside the gate at the military base. And he says, he's like, yeah, everybody does. Lots of taxidermists do it. And you just kind of sit on the side of the road, and all the oryx hunters go in one way, and then they all come out one way.
And you just grab them as they come in.
And you just, shake your tin cup and see if somebody will throw a nickel in there, right? So I'm fresh off the boat. I don't have $2 to my name. I borrow a generator from a neighbor that I had in Las Cruces. I spend like $55 on this like little vinyl sign that says who I am. I buy one halogen light, and I rig up the most ridiculous contraption you've ever seen, because there's no trees or anything, right? So to like hoist up these oryx off of the ground. And I'm not kidding. Like it's like a really humbling thing to think back about. Like I drove up to that hunt, and I didn't have money to get home. I didn't have any gas money. This is it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. And so I was back against the wall, right? Like this has to happen for me. So I on the Saturday that everyone was going in, I'm up at 4 a.m. because I'm just sleeping in the back seat of my truck, freezing my butt off, and all the trucks are vroom, 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 flying past, and nobody's up. It's dark, everyone's quiet, and I start seeing all the oryx hunters are stopping, and they're shoving their cameras under under bushes and under rocks and everything, because at that time you weren't allowed to take your camera onto the missile range. And so I'm sitting there and I get this idea. I'm like, I'm gonna make a sign that says, "I'll hold your camera." Like that'll help me get people to come and see me, right? So the next day, there's like half as many hunters, right? That half of them killed, half of them not, but everyone's like stopping. And I wake up at 4, I start my generator, I get my big light, and I have this sign that I've like literally with a Sharpie, and like I had a notepad, and so it's like one letter at a time on my notepad, and then I've like taken my little hand stapler and stapled it to this piece of plywood that was in the back of my truck, and it says, "I'll watch your camera." And your is "you are," right? Because I only have so many pieces of paper. So, and it's big. So on that day, I got people are going by like 50 miles an hour. Like 2 guys stop and let me watch their camera. One of them comes out pretty early, happens to be a taxidermist. I'm like dead in the water, right? But he tips me $20. Like $20 to
get you home.
Yeah, to get me home, right? So I'm already feeling a little bit better about life, and that night, so on those oryx hunts, like in the evenings, you get they kill as many or more in the evening as they do in the mornings, and so you get a really a night rush. And at that time, there was like 13 different businesses set up outside the gate there. And at the very end of the night, it was just so packed. Like anybody was killing anything that moved. It was the last day of the hunt. It was only a 2-day hunt. And this poor guy comes out dead last. And I've just been sitting there shaking my cup and waving at everybody that goes past, trying to be nice. And as he rolls up, you can tell he's had a very long night, right? It's like, it's late. And he looks, and everybody's already stacked up with oryx. And there's little old Jordan. And I'm sitting there, no work to do, and he just rolls right in there. So I get to talk to him for a few minutes, and I end up selling him a shoulder mount. And he gave me a cash deposit. It was like $450, and it was like the fastest I'd ever made $450 in my life. And I went home, and I used that money to build like a actual hoist that was not this ridiculousness that I had showed up the first time. And I go to the second hunt. Now I've got a nice little printed sign that says, "I'll watch your camera." Now I've got a decent hoist. I got a light or two. Like I'm a little bit more set up. And at that time, at that gate, you're camped right at the gate. So nobody's going past you at 50 miles an hour. And I think I held like 80 or 90 cameras, right? Me and this this other buddy of mine that is really close. His name's Josh Jensen. He lives in Ruidoso. He's got a taxidermy and meat processing studio there in Ruidoso. We needed each other as bad as anything to help, because it was just me or just him, or it was both of us working together. And we started this friendship, and I've always been so proud of the fact that we had 2 competing businesses, and we were able to work very closely for many, many years together, and it worked so well. And that weekend, I think we took in, between the 2 of us, like 25 shoulder mounts. And that started everything. So as far as like a bigger picture industry, the reason I go through that story is, though at that time there was 12 hunts a year, there was 110 hunters per weekend, and there used to not be a quota on oryx in New Mexico. So sometimes half of those hunters, literally 40-50% of them, would be non-resident hunters. 85%, 90% of them were being guided. And here's Jordan and Josh sitting on the side of the road every weekend. We're there consistently. We're up at 4 a.m. We're holding cameras. We're skinning. We're caping. We're quartering. We have big carts. We're hauling oryx around the back of our rigs to set up. And we had like a photo studio back there. So for years, if you saw an oryx picture it would have one of 3 backgrounds for the 3 different oryx locations, and it was from our camp, right? So the next year, when the smoke cleared, I had taken about 150 oryx mounts in, and I was full-time. I was going as hard as I could, and little did I know, I was starting to build my network. Yeah. These outfitters could start relying on us being there. They started telling their customers, plan on dropping it off with Jordan. Plan on dropping it off and at least getting skin caped and quartered, or doing the full taxidermy or whatever they needed done. And even on Sunday morning, they could drop their luggage off so they didn't have to keep their hotel room, and we would store it in our cargo trailers, and we just anything we could think of to like be a service. And again, little do you know, like you're just meeting person after person after person after person, and like 8 years of that, like with that kind of volume. Like every 12 times a year, 110 new guys on a once-in-a-lifetime hunt, usually with a couple buddies. All of the outfitters coming over and over again. And I started guiding quite a bit, kind of in the middle of that. I was up on I spent a lot of time hunting for Dwayne Adams in Arizona on the Kaibab. And really anyone that would let me hunt, I wanted to get the taxidermy work, and guiding allowed me to cover the overhead of being in camp, so I could get the taxidermy work. And little do you know what God's getting you ready for, you know? Like,
oh, yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's the truth. We'd been running the business almost 9 years, and I get a call from Cabela's, and they say, we start having conversation. Have you ever thought about consulting? Have you ever done? And I'm like, no. And then they started using words I wasn't familiar with, like insurance and retirement and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's an interesting concept. Insurance, huh? Really, you just offer that, huh? And so I just got married. I just had a brand new baby that he was about 1.5 years old, and we made a big change. We moved up to Nebraska and moved up to Sydney. And it was like walking into a room full of giants. It really was. Like, I was very fortunate to have some on-the-ground experience in a lot of different places, but to get a chance to mentor under some guys that I just have such an insane respect for, and was able to learn and work with them for what ended up being just a little over 3 years, was truly a turning point that I don't even know how to describe that. And again, God has a plan, right? And things change, and they're always evolving. And if it gets hard, look for the easy route, and that's the one God is looking for you, right? He's looking for He wants you to work your guts out, but look for that path. And the draw is very much a culmination of kind of that whole origin story. Like, my network, my experiences, being around amazing guys like yourself. I mean, that's where we met, is through working together on applications, and the people and the relationships I've got to build because of that is like the most amazing thing in my professional life. It's been quite the journey, for sure.
There's no doubt. You get to meet a lot of great people.
It's
in this industry, no doubt.
Hunting is an amazing equalizer, right? Like, I grew up in a town of 200 people. We had a pop machine and a post office, and that was it. And the pop machine was usually broke, right? Like, that's the only form of commerce, period, going on in the whole town. And through hunting, like, I've got to where I'm sitting in a truck for 4 and 5 days with guys who go on to be senators and governors, professional athletes, CEOs, CFOs, like, of major entities. And we have a common goal, and we're working hard towards that common goal. And it's hard for there not to be relationships, that true, meaningful relationships that develop in those scenarios. No different than any other walk of life. It's just that hunting allows guys like me that come from this, like, very teeny tiny dot on the map a chance to build relationships and then start mentoring off of very brilliant people. And I love it. I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's cool just to sit and start something and just meet so many people. You don't know who you're going to be standing beside. I mean, you could be at one of these shows, and I always try to start up a conversation, no matter who I'm standing with, because you just don't know who you're standing beside, and the connections that you can make in the hunting world. I mean, like you just say, some of these people go on to be politicians. Some of them can be CEOs of major brand companies. I mean, and you just create a relationship that, those guys, you're equal.
There's always something to learn too. There's always something, that everyone, no matter what walk of life they're from, like you can, you don't get to different levels like that without having some, serious intelligence. And,
Yes.
and I'm, again, like, hunting has allowed me to foster those relationships, and I think the draw is very much a culmination of that. It's allowing me to kind of pull my whole network into one place and listen and take those advice that I've got from people for a long time and run with it and have a platform to do that.
We'll talk about the draw a little bit. Let's tell everybody what the draw is and what you specialize in. Me and E3 both, our whole team uses the draw, and when
God bless you.
It's just it's been a great experience. I mean, it's been eye opening. About how the point systems work for the applications for hunting license, and so just get in and explain to us what all you do. You can sell it better than I can.
Right. The idea of starting a new application service, to be honest, was a little daunting, right? Like there's some real powerful brands out there, and they're guys that take care of their people, for sure. And so as we kind of developed this idea and started running with it, it was like, okay, where's our place? Where's our niche? Where do we come into play here? And I think it's one of two things. I think first of all, we are absolutely desperate to focus on the customer experience, and we want to ensure that we're always focused there. And every person that we talk to and work with has a different agenda, different goals, different dreams. And that's kind of the basis of what our initial conversations are, is what is that? What is the goal? What is the dream? What are we trying to accomplish? And some guys, it's a once in a lifetime hunt that they just need to go check this box one time and move forward. Yep. Other guys are looking to go and or maybe get into a certain walk of life. Maybe they're looking to get into elk hunting or get into mule deer hunting, or they want to look at sheep or moose or goats or all these types of things that are out there. And our program is really focused around understanding that goal and then using applications to accomplish that, so that we're not sitting in a place where we're constantly having to invest in landowner permits and vouchers and things of that nature to create hunting opportunities. We find that oftentimes for a lot less money, we can stay at those high level of quality experiences using those applications. And I think where we also differ is a very strong understanding of how to use each of the different states to accomplish that goal, instead of just simply getting into one or two and riding it out to a finish line. I think I find a lot of guys I'm on the phone with now, part of, I'd say, a demographic of guys that are calling us and hearing our message is they've been there, done that. Maybe they started in Arizona or Utah 20 years ago, and they did it. They drew. They used that system, and it created a finish line for them, and they went on some amazing hunt. But they're in their early 60s or late 50s now, and they're not done hunting. But it's like, God, I'm not going to start over. Like, how could I feasibly start over and plan on another hunt 20 years from now, let alone the idea that whatever they drew with 20 points is not likely to only take 20. So helping them understand, I think with guys that, whether they're just getting started or they've been in the game a little bit, understanding how to use the different states to create opportunities sooner than later. And if you want to have a couple of unicorns that you're throwing the dice on, great, like I do. You know me, Jeremy. I'm addicted to it. I put in for everything. Like I can't help myself. Like it is. Don't tell my wife, right? Like God, like it's so addicting. But that is so far from what most guys are looking for, right? That's not the right plan. If a guy tells me, like, a common one I get, elk hunting right now is so popular. People want to go as often as they can. And I find that if a guy tells me, I want to go every year for the next 10 years or as often as possible, truly, if we stay within about 3 states, maybe grabbing a fourth one here and there, but not necessarily doing it residually all the time. The idea that we could go 10 out of 10 years on draw type applications for elk hunting is very feasible with only about 3 to 4 states and good stuff. Guys shooting 300 plus inch bulls, guys killing 350 plus bulls. They're out there. If it's me, I'm looking to, I want to get guys in the field as often as they want to go. And I think that there is a big misunderstanding that it just takes forever. It's too long, that I've waited too long in my life and I can't get started. I can promise you that there are amazing things for 300 to 350 class bulls in a number of places with less than 5 points, often with less than 3 points. It's just knowing where they are and being able then to create a jump rope that's swinging constantly, so that when this one isn't our focal point for the year, it's maturing, it's building.
Right.
Well, and kind of keeping
it's just a
that
big cycle. You're
right.
working state after state after state.
That's
so you
right.
do it one every year.
And then also creating backup plans, right? Because inherently we are, to an extent, trying to get lucky. I mean, a lot of the states allow us to know with certainty that we are going to in fact draw based on past data, but who knows? The state throws a curveball here or there, and so we like to put in backup plans, and those are typically applications and deadlines that are clear into like the end of May, 1st of June, so that once again, we're not sitting there in July, knowing without a doubt we're going hunting. We have to. Like, it's just in us. It has to happen. We can't miss a year. And if we get to July and we're looking for what's left or what we can, it's about to be very expensive, and or the premier stuff is gone, right? It's too late for that. Using our program and doing what we do, our goal is to make sure that we're never in that what's left mode. And if we do it right, we never should be. We'll always have a good top shelf hunt lined up that isn't a what's left type scenario.
Yeah, I know so many people. I get this question all the time. I want to go elk hunting, or I want to go mule deer hunting, and I'm like, well, you need to start now for 3 years from now.
Right.
You're not. I mean, come
outside
August,
of blind luck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come August, you want to go elk hunting. Well, I mean,
Please, God,
there might be a landowner
don't
tag.
go over the counter in Colorado, please. God, like, you don't know. My phone burns at the end of the archery or the second or third rifle season in Colorado, because guys are like, oh gosh, like I thought I had it dialed, and please don't help me avoid doing that ever again. Like, yeah, there's some good stuff there, don't get me wrong, but as a general rule, tough, right? Like, if you're constantly looking at hunting like anything in hunting, right? Like, I get guys on the phone too that are like, I'll do whatever it takes. Like, I'm a hustler. I'll get off the roads. I'll go harder. I'll go deeper. And inherently, we find as hunters, if we're willing to do more than the other hunter, oftentimes we find special places, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same for applications. If we jump through more hoops than the bulk of the other hunters, this is the beginning of when we start working harder than they are. This is where we start working harder than they are, so that when we get to the mountain and we're on the ground, great. You want to go harder, faster, and go deeper than anybody else, but do it in places that it already has skimmed out all of the guys looking for the easy answer.
Exactly.
Yep, that application is very much a starting point for that mentality.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, you're exactly right on that. I mean, but it's definitely people back east, especially, they don't realize the value of tags and what it takes. Well, they don't realize how lucky. There's some people that do, but back home we get deer tags over the counter. We can shoot 12 deer in Georgia,
as many as you want, right?
I mean, you can't shoot 12 deer in 24 years in some states out west.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, the western states definitely, they don't realize what they have to go through to get these tags, and
sure,
and the value of what they're worth.
Right.
And of course the states they know what they're worth, and they're valuing from it quite a bit.
And every year they decide they're worth just a little bit more and a little bit more. But no, but like, even for your listeners, and particularly the guys on the East Coast and the guys that are looking to just get started, like a real simple concept, right? For your listeners, that I would encourage, whether you're calling us and having us help you take care of it, or you're just getting started on your own, like Wyoming point-only applications for deer, elk, and antelope, right? So by the time you check out on all three of those species at the state level, it's going to be $127.11. $127.11, and you put 3 hunts in the pipeline that, with 1 point, there are lots of options to consider for the deer and the antelope in that state. Immediately, that fast.
Yeah.
DIY or fully guided, right? Now, if we're DIY, we're probably going to need our Onyx in our hand, or some sort of mapping service. Make sure because we're going to inherently be in places that other guys are avoiding a little bit, probably because of private land issues, but there's still places to hunt.
Yeah.
With even 2 or 3 points in antelope, now that starts to get much, much simpler. The deer, 1 point, tons, DIY, guided, whatever you want, building up to. I personally don't think a guy should ever have more than 5 or 6 points in Wyoming for deer. I think the very best stuff in the state, often the most physical also, but chance for the biggest deer is in that western side of Wyoming, and 5, 6 points right now, 4 or 5 points, you can go. Like, worst case scenario is clear into that. That's not that far away. And if you're 25 years old, if you're 30 years old right now, and you want to do something, one thing, buy yourself deer, elk, and antelope points. All three of those species with 3 or less points right now currently, you have good options to consider on do it yourself or public. And if you're going on a once in a lifetime trip, please do that for a year or two at least before you decide to go on an over-the-counter hunt in really anywhere. You will have done more than other hunters. You're still going to see some people. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're going to see some people, but you've taken a step up from what you could have done, and it only costs you. Maybe the antelope and the deer is not your forte. The dream is the elk. $53.30. Do it. Like, get that point. It will. When you do your experience, it will pay for itself tenfold in versus other options that are out there.
Yeah, I got some points on antelope in Wyoming. I got maybe 5.
Right.
So I've been just buying the points, and I don't have a clue whenever I'm going to go. It's just because I haven't bought the tag.
So that brings up an interesting thing, and particularly with like an antelope point in Wyoming, or even a deer point in Wyoming, as you start branching out and you get a little bit more of a hunt plan put together like we have, inherently there ends up being, maybe whether we meant it or not, we have points that mature a little bit more than we expected them to, right? Like, because we have other hunts that are going on. Flint drew this awesome buck that's right behind you on this banner, which I love. Like, that's so awesome. And that deadline to apply is in March. The results come out at the end of April, and whether we knew it or not right then, everything else went on a back burner, right?
Right.
And so as you build a proper hunt plan, not to say that we don't have guys that are just like truly chipping away, like this is going to be 2020, this is 2021, this is 2022. But as we start getting in some of the luck-driven states, all of a sudden your antelope in Wyoming ends up at 5 points. And now this isn't just going hunting because we want to go hunting and we're going to go put something together. Inherently, we have a mature point status with lots of different options, and we're creeping into some of the top tier stuff. And that truly is a thing that happens, I see often. But $31.78 a year, like, you've got to feel good that at such a small investment, this all of a sudden now you not just an antelope hunt because you want to go hunting, but we have a top tier type hunt to look forward to when you're ready.
Yep.
And who knows, this year, we got Alaska results coming like in a couple of days, and that Wyoming antelope could take a back seat, bam, immediately.
It'll be another point.
Another year, and we move into, and that's how applications work. It's some that we never intended to get to that level just inherently get there, and it doesn't mean that we didn't go hunting. it's probably because we did. We went hunting a bunch.
But we got a backup plan.
And when the year happens that the luck isn't on our side, we don't need luck anymore. We've done what we need to do to ensure that we have a top shelf hunt in the pipeline.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It's just, I mean, to build a plan like this for your future hunting is just, you know, you hear all these people tell the story of all these opportunities are going away, but really, if you prepare, I mean, and put yourself in the right position, I mean, they're not really going away. You're just putting yourself in a position that the others aren't. So you're the one getting those spots.
And I would even bring up, you know, seeing the Flint right here behind you with, you know, the kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
Get them going. Like, that's one of the most things I'm as proud of that program as anything we're doing at the Draw. Our Kids Apply Free program is a fight back against everything that we see shoved down our throat all the time, that hunting is only for the rich and everything like that. I mean, the same 3 species I mentioned in Wyoming, that's $127.11 for the adults. It's only $30.75 for your kid to build those same points. In Colorado, for all 6 species, sheep, moose, goat, deer, elk, antelope, it's almost $500 for all 6 of those for me and you. And that may or may not fit with your goal, but for a kid, it's $55 a year. $55 a year, and you've got by the time they're 18. The best part about Colorado is they don't purge points. Some states purge if you don't apply for 2 or 3 years. Colorado doesn't do it for 10 years. So for $55.25 a year, you're getting your kid this foundation of points that even if you decide you're going to pull back the reins when he's 18, if he does it at least one time by the time he's 28, he restarts that clock. And when he's ready, when life has kind of sorted itself out and he's ready to start playing, he has real opportunities waiting for him, not just getting started like so many of the guys that I get on the phone every single day.
Yeah, it was Colorado. Is Colorado 12 years old for you can
12 years old you can get started.
I mean, they got six points for all those species right off the bat. You know.
And if you wanted to go, right, again, deer, elk, antelope, yes, let's go. Like we've got lots of options to consider, even with 2-3 points, right? You know, Colorado in 2021 is looking crazy exciting. Like with 1 or 2 points, there is so many second and third rifle seasons that are happening in Colorado that might take 9 or 10 or 15 or 16 points to draw during a 4th season, but take 0, 1 or 2 points during second and third season. And third season particularly is set for November 13 through 19. So think about this. There's guys this year that are going to burn like 15 and 16 points or 9 or 10 points, and they're going to go to Colorado in 2020, and that 4th season is November 13 through 17. Next year in 2021, the 3rd season will be November 13 through 19, and you can go with 1 or 2 points. So, like this is not hard. Like it's hard to be aware of all of what's going on for most guys. But as far as like, as soon as I tell you that, like that is a no-brainer. Yeah. Like I'm gonna have an army of guys headed to Colorado next year. Like I'm pulling back the reins on everybody this year. I'm like, wait. Like just let's hold for a second here. Let's get something else in the mix. And I am gonna push an army of hunters into Colorado in 2021 for that 3rd season, because with so few points, you're getting better dates than the 4th season guys are this year. Like, it's a no-brainer. And they didn't put now, mind you, Colorado has a funny way of throwing us a curveball, and it'll be like 75 degrees, and it'll suck out there. But inherently, our chances are good. Mid-November dates with 1 or 2 points across the entire eastern and western front, that's a no-brainer. I don't care if you're just getting started this year or you have years in Colorado. If you're not headed there in 2021, you're crazy. Like, you got to be there.
Well, maybe we can get Flynn on a tag.
That's right.
In Colorado.
I don't know if he's going to do better than that, Buck, but it's fun to try, right?
Yeah.
You got to get him out. You can't do better if you don't go back out and give it a whirl.
I mean, Jordan has been able to get Flynn on these tags for the youth program, like he's talking about here, and he drew a very special tag from New Mexico that was the first year they've done it.
First
right?
year they did it. Yep.
And they didn't draw a lot of tags for youth, but I'm not sure how many non-resident tags were there. Maybe 20.
There would have been last year. There would have been 15 total youth tags. Yes, I believe.
Flint drew one of these tags, and
maybe 16.
We had an amazing trip, and got to hunt these deer coming out of Colorado, being pushed out by the snow into. We were hunting right on the northern part of New Mexico, and it was just tons of deer.
Right.
I mean, it was just great for the kid experience because there was plenty to look at, and there was enough physical. You could do it. It was either physical or what you could. There was multiple ways to do this hunt.
Sure.
Of course, we chose the physical way and did some hiking and
sure.
And we made a heck of a hunt out of it. It was an amazing trip.
And he got to shoot a buck of a lifetime.
Oh yeah, he shot a very beautiful buck. He did great. He did great. I couldn't have been more proud.
I was so stoked.
So
when I got those pics, oh man, I was losing sleep the whole time you guys are up there, just waiting, just staring at my phone, waiting for a text message.
Yeah. So
yeah.
E3 got to join us too.
Yeah.
And, we videoed it, and we have a video coming out before long. It turned out really good as well.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So, what about So what are you heading with the draw? What else you got in the pipeline? What's coming up?
I don't know. I think to be honest, as we're just a young company right now, we're really focused on just really enhancing that customer experience. Right. I definitely feel like the reason we are as successful as we are is truly the team that I've put together. The guys that I'm working with are absolute genius level in so many walks of life, and I'm very humbled to know a little bit about hunting and get to be a part of it. I think that's always our driving force is how can we invest and reinvest in particularly we're looking at the software side of things and how to create a digital platform that is so much more user friendly than anything that we've seen existing right now, and we're making huge headway on it. Our ability to navigate customer to customer, address their goals, keep that information right in front of the customer as often as they want to see it, and showing them in real time like what to expect and when these results are going to start happening, and all of that is really a kind of a next level thing that I don't see anywhere else.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to watch you grow. I mean, it's been fun to watch you grow. It's definitely.
It is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I literally cannot wait to get to work every day. I am so excited. It is, again, I use the word humbling a lot. Like it's like this insanely, like you're, whether it's a guy just getting started or this guy, I get lots of guys that have even been doing it themselves for a long time, and they have 10, 15, 20 points, and they decide to hand it over because it's time to go hunting, and they want you to quarterback it from A to Z, from where to draw, the outfitter to work with, whoever it is. And like, there's so much responsibility there. Like, you don't get 20 years back, right? Like, you don't get, like, it requires perfection, and to have guys, so often I'm just a voice on the phone, right? Like, how many years did we know each other where, like, that's it, right? I'm just a voice on the phone to so many guys, and to have them hand that over to you, there is so much responsibility there, and it truly is humbling. Like, I don't take it for granted. I think that it's an amazing opportunity that God has put in my path, and I couldn't be more excited about it. Like, awesome. I love it.
I handed it over to you because there is no doubt the knowledge that you throw my way and listen. When I listen to these conversations, it's like, oh, there's just no doubt. I mean, Jordan's all over this game. He knows
I'm addicted. I can't help it. I read everything. I write. I am constantly just. I am a student of it constantly. I can't help it. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, I know we got like you said earlier, the Alaska deadline comes out here soon, and me and E3, and actually Flint too.
Yeah.
We all have our fingers crossed.
Oh, God.
For that tote tag. And our,
Yeah, can you imagine?
I can't imagine.
No, I'm telling you, me and you both. I tell you that. No, it's fun. And that's like there is some of those. Like they're a roll of the dice, right? Alaska doesn't have a point system. They're a roll of the dice, but man, like to win there, like it's not like there's some really top shelf deer and elk hunts out there, right? That are just like you're out of your mind when they come down the pipeline. But if you see a successful in like an Alaska draw, we've got a full on life changer coming.
Yeah.
Like this one's gonna stick. This one's a forever. Like we may never be back type of hunt, and it is. There's so much what if built into that, and I'm selfish because I'm the one who gets to like you know how that just pit in your stomach when it's like the day before the results post and you're like, oh, what if, like maybe me, right? Maybe me. I get to do that not only for myself, like over and over and over again, but then I have like hundreds, we're getting close to 1,000 guys that like I get to replay that what if moment.
For everyone
and I'm telling you, the girls at the office, they think I'm ridiculous. Like if I see a successful, especially like on an Alaska or a sheep or like one of those just unicorn type tags, like I lose my mind. Like
you build
I'm
a
so
relationship
excited.
with these guys.
Yeah,
And
like I'm so happy for them. Like they did it. We did it. We beat the odds, and I love it. Like it is so like it's such a rewarding thing, and sometimes I get to go, and sometimes I'm just again a small piece of the puzzle. All right, like for example, Flint's like on that one. Truly, like you guys did so much amazing work with all the sponsors and all the guys you put together, and that I can't wait to see the film. Like I literally can't wait. And I was this very small piece of the puzzle on it, but I was there. Like I was
but that puzzle wouldn't ever came together if you weren't involved. I mean,
and I do. The older I get, honestly, and like I think even in any profession, you kind of have that. Why, right? Why do I get up every day? Why do I work hard? And the older I get, like I love hunting. Like I absolutely have a sickness for it. But to be honest, as I've grown older, like my relationships with the people are so much more meaningful than any one hunt. Yeah. Like I love that part of it so much
too.
Yeah, I do. It just the guys I work with, the women I work with, the families, like seeing them start to have understanding about this. I call it a 10,000 foot jump rope that swings through the air every year, right? And seeing their eyes start to open to the rhyme and the reason on why we're doing it, and then seeing the results, like that is so exciting to me because I love teaching them and showing them how this whole process works. And it
won't be long. They'll be just as excited as you are.
Yeah, they are. As their eyes start to open and they see they see the pattern and they see what the reality is of all of this stuff, that lots of them get addicted to it just like me. Like they're like, oh God, like we gotta get in, I mean, that's why I'm at the Western Expo right now, right? Because it's like 5 more chances to draw a sheep tag. Like I gotta get there.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
Yeah, right. That's right.
I'll never forget. So I mean, you called me when New Mexico posted last year, and I'm like, and we talked, decent amount, so I wasn't even expecting a phone call about the draw no tag. I was just, there's Jordan. So I pick up the phone, I'm talking to Jordan. He said, hey man, New Mexico's out. You didn't draw nothing. I was like, damn it. Thanks.
Thanks for ruining my day.
But Flint drew his deer tag that I've been telling you about.
Oh, man, I was so pumped. I was so happy and that's the thing. Like I say this, and it's funny because I truly feel this way so often. Like of all people, it was you, and that was so special. And to be honest, like I feel that same way with so many of the guys, like that they did it. Of all people, them, like, oh, they're great. Like they did. Like I love this guy. Like he did it. Yeah. We're going. We got to hunt.
It's awesome.
It's fun to win, and it's fun to win, but it's also fun to have some rhyme and reason to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, man, it's been great to have you here today.
I appreciate it very much.
And to learn, for everybody can learn about the draw. And tell everybody where they can find you at.
Sure. So you can find us on our .com at thedraw.com, www.thedraw.com. You can find us at We Are The Draw on Instagram. Same as Facebook and LinkedIn. Definitely on Hunt360. We've got a really nice profile built there, and that's starting to...
And it's only getting better, too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's definitely a snowball rolling over there. So our phone number is 575-222-1234, and that rings to my desk and my cell phone and anywhere else that populates. We've got chat functions on our website.
Yeah,
so
I like that feature.
If you want to just chat for a minute, anywhere I'm at, that pings my phone and I can start chatting with you. There's you can subscribe to our email list. I try to be as available as I can. I will tell your listeners that sometimes, like this time of year, as deadlines are approaching, be relentless. Yeah. I will get to you, I swear, but be relentless, and I'll apologize. Sometimes it gets pretty crazy in there, but thank God for it.
Well, good. I know I'm excited to hear from you for over the next 6 months.
Yes.
Every time that phone rings, I'm gonna be.
It could be. I think Monday is the results for Alaska, or Tuesday, one or the other. I'm gonna be sick to my stomach that morning, just in anticipation.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see what happens.
That what if is so strong.
We're in for a Kodiak mountain goat and Dall sheep.
Yes.
And man, I can't. If one of those hit, I won't be able to apply for nothing else. We'll have to shut off for the rest of the year.
Thank God Alaska does it like they do, right? Like we only have really one crossover, which is Arizona elk and antelope.
Yeah.
And often that one's such a hard, that's a long shot. So it allows us to roll the dice in Alaska, almost kind of a risk-free scenario. We're going to know before we have to commit to anything else.
Yeah. Well, it's good talking to you today. I hope you wish you luck here at the show, and man, it's always just great to be with you, man.
I appreciate it very much.
Your personality just shines through, and and everybody loves being around you.
I thank you very much. Thanks for having me very much. It means a lot. Thanks,
Take care,
Jeremy.
buddy.
Yes, sir. Thanks,
Thank you,
E3.
Jordan.
Yep. All right, guys.